Hi, everyone. So it's AI Appreciation Day for all of you joining us on July 16th. So this is a great day to dive into session 6 of Scholar's summer webinar series. Today is about 3 tools that will save you hours this school year. I'm Melissa. I'm so glad you're here. So whether you've been joining us each week or just popping in for the first time today, you're in the right place. Our mission today is simple: show you 3 practical ways to save time using AI without losing your voice, your creativity, or your connection to your students. So let's go ahead and jump on in. Here's where we're headed today. We'll start with a brief overview of Scholar for anyone who is new here. Then we'll dig into our 3 time saving ways that AI can make your life easier next school year. You'll also get a bonus glimpse into Scholar that'll make documentation way easier. And after that, I'll show you how to get started with AI in just minutes, even if you're not using Scholar yet. And then we'll wrap up with a free resource and a sneak peek of what's coming next. And then you can get back to your summer vacation. Okay, let me start by introducing Scholar Education. Scholar is an AI powered education platform made by teachers for teachers. So everything we've built, from the lesson planning tools, grading support, to IEP documentation, was designed with real classrooms in mind. And at the heart of Scholar are our two very lovable AI-powered Bernedoodles, PAWfessor Bruce and BaxterBot. And yes, they're based on the 2 real-life dogs from one of our co-founders. And the reason that we just wanted to do that was because we wanted AI to feel warm and familiar and approachable and not cold or intimidating. So we've got PAWfessor Bruce, who supports teachers, and BaxterBot supporting our students. And together they act like an extra set of hands, or 12. So let's talk about time. This is not going to surprise anyone, but more than half of teachers work beyond their contractual hours, and it's consistent night after night, weekend after weekend. And I get it. My first year teaching, I did not even have a planning period. And even years later, when I finally did, I was still grading on Saturdays and updating lessons on Sundays because we care, because we want to do better for our students, but it is exhausting. And that's what makes this topic so important. If we can reclaim even a little bit of that time without sacrificing quality, we absolutely should. Now let's officially meet Professor Bruce and BaxterBot. Bruce is your sidekick from everything to brainstorming lessons, drafting feedback, and organizing accommodations. And then BaxterBot, he is your class support system for students. Whether you're in a small group, Baxter is answering questions, clarifying directions, and nudging students who can get stuck. One thing we hear from teachers a lot, and that I personally felt when I taught, is how isolating it can be when you're the only one in your subject. And that's why I love when our pilot teachers say over and over how Scholar made them feel less alone in their content area and like they finally had supports. Alrighty, tool number one. So we're gonna start off with lesson planning, right? Because that's the foundation of everything. And something that for a lot of us takes way more time than it should. So with Professor Bruce, planning becomes something you can actually finish during your planning period with time to go get coffee. And here's how it works in Scholar, which you can see the video playing as I'm talking. So you start by selecting your grade level and standard, or you could just type in a topic. And then Bruce walks you through a structured lesson format so you don't get dumped with a wall of AI text. If you need a warm up, he'll generate one. If you want a quick check for understanding, he's got options. Want to see the same question written at a different reading level? Just ask Bruce. And that's what makes this different from using generic LLMs like ChatGPT or other tools is that this is built for actual K-12 classrooms. The content is automatically aligned to standards. PAWfessor Bruce already knows to focus on best practices and everything questions, directions, reading passages is editable. You can personalize it however you'd like, or you can send it directly to your students. No copying or pasting, reformatting from one platform to another. So planning isn't going to be perfect every time, but it can be fast, focused, and flexible. And Scholar helps you get there, hopefully saving you hours this coming school year. Now, let's talk practicalities. If you're not using Scholar yet, here's how you can use AI to plan smarter with something like ChatGPT. Start with standard or objective. For example, create a 30-minute lesson on this idea for fourth graders. You can be a little bit more specific if you want a bell work, a practice activity, and an exit ticket. You can ask it to be creative depending on what your strengths or weaknesses are. Sometimes it's just that extra creativity power that can be really helpful. You can ask it to generate a few sample discussion prompts, some writing stems, or even a reading passage if you can't find one that works for the activity or lesson you want to do. If you want something more interactive, try prompts like give me 3 ideas for math review stations for sixth grade fractions. And then always remember to review and revise. Think of AI like your brainstorming partner and not the final decision maker. That still is going to lie with the teacher. Here's how Scholar builds on that. So, Scholar includes the built in standards. So, you can just select it or type it in, and then it automatically generates questions, tasks aligned to your standards without having to copying and pasting between platforms. Differentiation is embedded into our platform. And best of all, you push the lesson directly to students, so no extra step of formatting headaches. So it's the same strategy with a workflow that's more teacher friendly and classroom safe. Now, onto tool number 2, which is feedback. So we know feedback isn't about giving grades, it's about giving students the direction to grow. But doing that well takes time that we don't often have a lot of. So here's how PAWfessor Bruce helps, which you can see on the video on the screen. As you grade an assignment in Scholar, Bruce suggests personalized feedback based on each student's work. So you might see comments like, your thesis is strong, try adding more of this. Or let's work on adding transitions to connect more clearly. And you can kind of see it on the screen. It goes into more depth, just some examples. And you don't have to accept it as is. You can edit it, you can skip it entirely, or you can add in your own notes. You're still in charge. But this means that you're never starting from scratch. And here's what else makes Scholar different is feedback lives inside of your grading flow. So no switching tabs or pasting into rubrics. It's all in one. It can be translated. It can be translated for multilingual learners or rewritten at a lower reading level. And at the activity level, it spots patterns across student responses. So you can quickly identify where reteaching is needed. And so the goal isn't just to save you time, which is our biggest goal, but it's also to help you give feedback that is actually useful again. And we hope that Scholar is able to help you do that. If you're not using Scholar yet, you can still make AI work for you. You can copy a few student responses into an AI tool and ask for common strengths and weaknesses, and then prompt the AI to help you generate comments like create excuse me, that so you can help generate comments that you can be used across different students. with a reusable comment bank. You can even prompt it to write comments in a specific tone using encouraging language, whatever is best for your students, because of course, as the teacher, you know what's best for your students. For multilingual learners, you can use AI to translate feedback or just simplify the language while keeping your original message intact. So, even small tweaks like this can save you hours in the long run. But with Scholar, feedback, suggestions appear while you're grading, so you don't have to switch between platforms. Bruce is highlighting patterns across student work. You're still editing and improving Bruce's feedback, but you can do it in just a click. And Scholar is PII safe and COPA and FERPA aligned, which means there's no risk uploading student work because it's already secure inside the platform. And because Bruce speaks your language, the feedback still sounds like you, just without all of the late nights. On to our third tool, which is student support within our platform. It's with BaxterBot. And it's something that used to stress me out every day. How many students needing help all at once? You're working with one student or even a small group, and suddenly a dozen hands are going up asking for clarifications, and you want to be there for them, but there's only one of you. And that is where BaxterBot is such a huge help. Baxter is in Scholar's student-facing AI support. He's built to guide and not give away answers, just like a teacher would. And he lives inside every assignment unless you decide to turn him off. Because as a teacher, you have that flexibility as well if you don't want the students using BaxterBot for a particular lesson. But what else can he do? Student can open him up and say, I don't get this question. And BaxterBot will respond just like a teacher would with guiding questions like, what did you notice first? How can we start? What's the first step? And then if a student is stuck on something like vocabulary, Baxter can explain the word in context at the student's reading level because the student's profile is built out on the teacher side to include reading level. So he's always conversing with them at their level. If a direction is not clear, Baxter can rephrase it and give examples. All things that teachers would do, and there's just not enough time in the day or during the class period sometimes. And what else makes him unique is since he knows the context of he always knows the context of the lesson that the students are working on. So he gives support that is relevant as opposed to generic. He's also encourages persistence. So he, just like a teacher, he's helping those students with their grit. He's safe since Scholar protects all student data and is FERPA and COPA aligned. And teachers from our pilot schools have said over and over how Baxter helps students stay on task longer, work more independently, and ask for help when they might not have raised their hand. So he's not a replacement for you, but he is a support system, one that gives you this space to focus on where you might be needed most at any given moment. And if you're using a general AI tool, here are some other ways that it can help you. So it can, before a lesson, you can ask prompt AI with some common misconceptions students have with specific lesson you're working on, and then use that list to build your small group questions or even pre-load responses or a class FAQ. You can do some asynchronous support. Try recording some short videos in Loom or Google Slides and embed those questions that you know your students are going to ask, and maybe AI has the idea because it's not something that you would have thought of the kids having a question, so you can nip that in the bud. And you can use AI to write the scripts for those videos. Or you can just ask AI to review your directions, making sure there's nothing missing, closing out any holes. These tools help close the gaps without needing another adult in the room. With Scholar, though, BaxterBot makes this all seamless. It's safe, secure, it's available at school and at home. And that's where AI becomes a real support system, not just for your students, but for you. Okay, here is our bonus tool. So this one isn't necessarily AI specific, but is a built-in tool into the Scholar education platform with accommodations and data tracking. Since Scholar syncs with your student information system, keeping accommodation lists accurate and up to date, you can track when and how accommodations are used by your students. Students can view their own lists for self advocacy, and you can export the data for your next IEP or MTSS meeting. And this is one of the most requested features that came from special education teachers who wanted this kind of tracking without the extra spreadsheets, the tally marks, the post-it notes, all of those things that they're getting. Now it's all built right into the platform. So if you want to get started today and you're not using Scholar, I would suggest just picking one area of your workflow that you want to simplify. Maybe it's lesson planning, maybe it's grading, and then using clear, specific prompts, like create a 3-question quiz aligned to the standard, or write feedback for a 3rd grade student struggling with this. Start small, get used to it, and then you can be more specific. It also learns your preferences. So if the feedback it's generating, you're constantly telling it to write it in a different tone, over time it learns that. And so it's going to write in that tone for you from the beginning. But just make sure you review it and make it your own. You're still the expert. AI just helps you get there faster. And if you want to learn more about Scholar and what we already have built out for teachers, you can visit joinscholar.com to learn a little bit more about the pilot program that we're currently in. And if you're not using Scholar yet, we've still got you covered. So we've created some prompts that you can plug and play for lesson planning, accommodations, newsletters. As a math teacher, I always struggled writing the classroom newsletter or sometimes composing a clear parent email after a really long day or week. So these prompts would have saved me so much mental energy, honestly. But you can use these prompts with any AI tool, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever is most accessible to you. Quick recap. So here are the 3 tools that we discussed today. We've got lesson planning. So within Scholar Education, PAWfessor Bruce will do a lot of that heavy lifting, generating, aligning, differentiating, keeping your content on theme, aligned to standards. But you can do that with some prompting within any AI platform. Tool number 2 is feedback. So within Scholar, personalized feedback is already embedded, but you can use any AI platform to get suggestions of feedback, to revise your feedback, to shorten, lengthen, expand upon, and to review patterns and responses. And lastly, tool number 3 is our student support, which is BaxterBot within in our platform. Can be other AI tutor platforms that you might see online. Let Baxter or that AI tutor help students in real time so you can be more present wherever you are needed. And then don't forget those accommodations and built-in data tracking for Scholar. Final takeaways, grab the BruceBot prompt library. It's honestly a goldmine. And try maybe one prompt this week. See if you get the output you'd like. And don't forget that if you are using Scholar Education, we now have close to 100 customizable lessons that are ready to go. Some are quick reviews, others are full unit plans. There's even a writing coach version of BaxterBot that gives feedback after a student's rough draft, all created by teachers with AI, and it's ready when you are. Looking ahead, next week's session is all about IEP meetings. So if you've ever dreaded the paperwork or worried about having the right documentation on hand, this session will show you how Scholar can help you in just a few clicks. So it's the same time and in the same place right here through this link next Wednesday at noon. Don't forget your PD certificate is ready so you can log your attendance across sessions, earn up to 5 hours of credit. That includes the live and the recorded sessions. Also, every session you attend is another entry in our gift card giveaway. So you're learning and getting rewarded, not bad for a summer Wednesday. Thanks for joining us today. Hope that you leave today feeling empowered and not overwhelmed about using AI to save you time and strengthen your teaching. You are doing incredible work. We see it, we appreciate it, and we are here to support you every step of the way. And we hope to see you next week. Bye, everybody.